Science really can't get into that.
So yeah, we've talked about this before. That you said, yeah, you believe science is limited in certain ways, and you
Right.
have to use other what methodologies to learn other truths,
That's right.
right? So yeah, but you said your friend he wrote that book, right? And he was afraid to say really what he wanted to say about the
That's right.
we'll call it paranormal, whatever you want
Right.
to call
Right.
it, because he was afraid he would be ridiculed or ostracized or have his career damaged, maybe.
Right.
Wow, isn't that just unbelievable in this world we live in?
That's right. It's true. Since Darwin's theory of evolution, science has really tried to, get rid of explanations that aren't materialistic. The idea that everything can be explained by looking at the evolution of survival characteristics. Like our behaviors have all evolved to maximize our survival ability. So it's a very intriguing idea that you can reduce everything to a material cause and effect kind of thing. But the problem is that that doesn't have to do with a lot of psychology, for example, how people think, their self-aware consciousness, how they project themselves into the future, all sorts of things that you can't explain just by looking at materialism or evolutionary development.
Yeah.
So there's a whole field, a whole area that's left untouched. And it's of interest to me because working with people, you're constantly asked to go beyond the evidence because there's a lot of things we just can't, science doesn't address a lot of stuff.
Do you think that science can explain anything?
What do you mean? I mean, it to enough of a certainty to make it practical, of course.
But do you think I should ask that question better? Do you think science can explain anything absolutely?
Well, probably not.
Yeah. Because of the problem of infinite regress, right?
Well, I guess so. Yeah.
And any answer you give me, I'll just go why,
Okay, yeah,
why.
exactly.
The Socratic method, right?
That's right. You can always pose another question.
Like if I say it's this force, then you're going to say, well, what moves that force,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Dr. Stract force, what moves, and then this force, that force, the baba laba laba force.
And isn't it funny when you put it that way? Is that look at the way physicists and astronomers have gone about the same problem, but in reverse. The astronomers are looking at the large equation, and then the physicists are looking at things with subatomic particles, right? Which is the exact same thing on either side, right? Looking at large marbles out in the universe that are exactly the same as these subatomic particles. And it's like, even they, you say, well, if you keep snapping that atom and that subatomic particle one more time, what are you going to do? Get to the beginning of the universe?
That's really interesting because it's like, to me, it just made me think of something. It's like, so obviously the astronomers believe the answers are in the big, right? The big questions or whatever, in the big picture or whatever, the macro world. And the quantum physicists believe it is in the micro world, and they're both wrong.
It's just like a bloodhound. A bloodhound can't help but sniff, right? And so, astronomers and physicists are just like bloodhounds. They got to keep sniffing for the answer to the universe. And I guess you're gonna one of these days realize that it's in here. It's just within.
Wow, yeah, that's what I told. Oh, this is great, brilliant. I can't believe I remembered it. I wrote something so brilliant a while ago, or audio blogged, one or the other. Something so brilliant a while ago. But I said, I was, making a commentary on this one book I was reading, right? Audio blogging, running commentary on what I was reading. And, they're talking about, questions having to do with astronomy. And I said, yeah, if you want to understand the universe, look in your mind, look in your subconscious mind. If you want to understand the laws of physics, of astrophysics, right, look inside your subconscious mind.
It's interesting because, you can't have something that you consider to be the truth unless it makes sense to you at some level. There's a lot of course, paradoxical findings that don't seem to make sense on the surface, but at some point you have to accept it as a reality, and that can only happen on the inside. Your brain has to come to that conclusion.
Well, you remind me, I don't know if I told you this story before, but let's tell it again for the audience, right? Our audience of maybe one or two out there who will see this. if that many. But you know, like Dr. O'Leary, he was a physicist at Princeton, you know, and that's like playing for the Yankees for a physicist, right? And he used to be an astrophysicist, but he became a physicist working at Princeton, right? I don't know how that worked out, but it worked, right? And I guess they figured there's not really a big difference between an astrophysicist and a physicist, right? And he said he used to sit around the break room with his colleagues making fun of people who believe in ESP and the paranormal, right? And you know, but then he started slipping away on the weekend to psychic fairs, you know? And finally he could no longer stay in the closet, and he came out of the closet and admitted that he believed in the paranormal. Well, you know, his colleagues ostracized him. They wouldn't, you know, really communicate with him anymore. They shunned him. He had fallen from grace. You know, he'd committed the ultimate sin.
Ultimate sin, right, where you believe in the occult or the unseen, or
He turned away from the true faith. So finally
Exactly.
he just had to quit. He couldn't be a physicist. He just felt like a fraud, I guess. He couldn't be a physicist anymore. And now he's kind of like, I would call him the father of the zero-point energy movement, you know? And I think I told you before that some people believe that our minds can access the zero-point field, or whatever you can call it. Some people call it the quantum field. It's got a lot of different names, right? I heard it called a lot of different names before I had any clue what it really was, you know? But I call it the zero-point field, right? Where there's this infinite energy all around us right now in space, but we can't feel it because it's isotropic and homogeneous, equal in every direction, right? So it's balanced out, so we can't feel this infinite energy all around us. But some people believe that our minds can tap into it and use that energy to do miracles like part the Red Sea. Like they theorize if Moses did part the Red Sea, that was how he did it.
Well, this might be a good place for us to stop because our time is up. And
Okay, cool. Cut.